Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, today we're going to be talking about Jay-Z and the good news that he got that the plaintiff in the Jane Doe case, which I have been calling the VMA case, has been dismissed. Now, before we get into that, y'all hit that like button. Y'all hit that like button. That helps with my engagement, and I do appreciate every last one of my entertainers. So let's get through with this story. All right. Now, as you remember, Jane Doe stated in her complaint that Sean Combs, aka Diddy, and Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, plus an unnamed celebrity woman, entertaining woman, assaulted her. Now, the story goes is that Jane Doe was between the ages of 13 and 15. She goes to the VMAs, the 2000 VMAs. She couldn't get in because she did not have a ticket. However, she stayed outside and walked around and was able to talk to the drivers. And she was asking the drivers who were they driving and all of these things and whatnot. And she claims that Diddy's driver came up to her and said, "Oh, you're just what Diddy's looking for." She was saying that she wanted to go to a party. He says, "Hey, I can accommodate that. We can definitely get you to a party." And so he says, I have to take them to the party first, and then I'll come back and pick you up." She says that she waited, and the driver came back and picked her up. She said the driver picked her up and drove about 25 minutes from the venue and dropped her off in a home. There was like a house party, and the driveway was a circular driveway that he drove in, dropped her off, and she went on into the party. She goes into the party. She says that she was talking to different celebrities, and that drinks were being passed around. She said she took a sip of a drink. She said she felt a little woozy, and she went to go lay down. She went to lay down, and she said when she woke up to Diddy, Jay-Z, and this unnamed woman in the room with her. She says that she was assaulted by Diddy, and she was assaulted by Jay-Z while the unnamed celebrity woman looked on. She said that she ran out of the room. She ran out of the room. She ran out of the house. She walked 5-10 minutes to a gas station. She called her father, and then her father came and picked her up. She said she didn't tell her father what happened, that he just drove her home. Now, initially when we heard this story, I made the assumption that she lived in one of the boroughs in New York. We come to find out that she lived 5 hours away. I think it was Rochester or some city up north to New York City, and that it's a 5-hour drive. So that meant that her friend drove her 5 hours to go to the VMAs, didn't stay. I guess the friend went back home, and she said that she called her father. So she had to wait at that gas station for about 5 hours until her father came and picked her up. So there were holes in the story because we find out later, just internet sleuths, shout out to y'all. The internet sleuths went out there and looked and saw, because I did a video about that, and you can check that out in my playlist. We were looking at the VMAs, and we found out that Diddy and Jay-Z weren't even at the same party. Diddy was at one party, which was in a industrial area, and Jay-Z was at another party, and they were not at a house party. It was in a club, so to speak. The other thing is that NBC inevitably did an interview with Jane Doe, and this is what we found out during that interview with Jane Doe. Number one, she lived 5 hours away. Number two, there was no house the parties that Jay-Z and Diddy went to were not in a home. we're not in a home. So the house that she's talking about, also according, there was a subsequent press conference by Jay-Z's lawyers finding out that there is no house or mansion 20 minutes away from the venue where the VMAs were held. Also, NBC talked to Jane Doe's father, and he says he doesn't remember that. He says, I remember having to drive 5 hours to pick my daughter up from Manhattan. Yeah, because you drive 5 hours there, then turn back around and drive 5 hours back. So that's 10 hours. He says he didn't remember that. So Jay-Z's lawyers and Tony Busby, because Tony Busby was the attorney that filed the lawsuit for Jane Doe. They go back and forth, even to the judge in the case had to tell them, listen, y'all are gonna follow court etiquette, and if you're gonna file a complaint, a letter, or whatever you're gonna file with the court, the other person has to have time to answer. Back and forth, back and forth. They go back and forth in that. We find out through the subsequent press conference that Alex Spiro had with the press, and he is also Jay-Z's lawyer. They go through the timeline. Number one, they talked about that Diddy didn't own a home at that point. He was living in a high rise during the time that the VMAs was going on. And I think he said that he owned a home. He was living in a high rise at that point. Number two, we find out that Tony Busby didn't even vet this woman. She came from another attorney, and he said he assumed that the other attorney vetted her story. Number three, again, we talked about the two people being that Sean Combs and Sean Carter were in two different places partying after the VMAs. And so her story and her timeline didn't match up, because as there was no house with a circular driveway 20 to 30 minutes from the venue, there was also no subsequent gas station 20 or 30 minutes from the venue. And he also impressed upon us that where Sean Combs was living, it took almost an hour to get there from the venue. So, and he lived in a high rise. And then if you go down the street from the high rise, there was no gas station or a convenience store in walking distance from there, a 2-mile walking distance. And they even pinpointed different times. So they pretty much debunked her story, and they asked the court to dismiss this case. Following all of this hoopla, Tony Busby and Jay-Z's attorney were going back and forth, even to the point where they filed a defamation libel lawsuit against Tony Busby and an extortion, because they were showing that he was calling and asking for money. And when they decided that they weren't going to give any money, then the lawsuit was filed. So let me share my screen real quick with you all. Quick, because I want to go over the letter. I want to go over the dismissal. All right, you see this. United States District Court, Southern District of New York. Jane Doe plaintiff against Sean Combs, Daddy House Recordings, all of these people, and I think Sean Carter, his name is in here, blah, blah, blah. So it says here, notice of voluntary dismissal pursuant to the rule 41A1AI of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedures. Plaintiff Jane Doe, and through her undersigned counsel, hereby gives notice that the above captioned action is voluntarily dismissed with prejudice. Counsel for the plaintiff have discussed this matter with counsel for each defendant, who acknowledge and consents to this submission. And so this was by Curis Law, Antigone Curis, and the Busby law firm, Anthony Busby from Texas, bar number da 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 da. And this was filed on February 14th, 2024. Sure. So it has been dismissed, and with prejudice means that they can't bring that lawsuit back up. Without prejudice means that they can that at some point in time, if they got more information or anything like that, they can bring that dismissal back up. I do want to read to you what Jay-Z said in regards to this lawsuit and his statement for that. All right. So here we have this is a statement from Sean Carter, aka Jay Z. Today is a victory. The frivolous, fictitious, and appalling. Okay, I remember doing that. That didn't work. And appalling allegations have been dismissed. This civil suit was without merit and never going anywhere. This fictitious, the fictional take they created was laughable, if not for the seriousness of the claims. I would not wish this experience on anyone. The trauma that my wife, my children, loved ones, and I have endured can never be dismissed. This 1-800 lawyer gets to file a suit hiding behind Jane Doe, and when they quickly realize that the money grab was going to fail, they get to walk away with no repercussions. The system has failed. The court must protect victims, of course, while with the same ethical responsibility, the courts must protect the innocent from being accused without a shred of evidence. May the truth prevail for all victims and those falsely accused equally. So here we have an article. This is Entertainment Weekly. And this was filed February 14th, and it was written by Wesley Stenzel. And we're just going to go over this article really quick. It says Jay-Z responds to dismissal of the lawsuit accusing him and Sean Combs. He says today is a victory. A lawsuit accusing Jay-Z of the R word has been voluntarily dismissed by the plaintiff who originally filed it, according to legal documents obtained by Entertainment Weekly, and that's one of the documents that I just read to you. Jane Doe's plaintiff moved Friday to dismiss her lawsuit, which alleged that the 99 Problems rapper, whose real name is Sean Carter, are a 13-year-old girl at an MTV Video Music Award after party in 2000. Right. And so this lawsuit was first filed in October, and the complaint was amended in December to include Sean Carter's name. Carter responded to the dismissal in a statement to Entertainment Weekly, and I just read that to you. And let's see. And that's pretty much it. The plaintiff admitted that she made some mistakes in her recollection of the alleged assault to NBC News in December. So again, they're just going back over the information that I went over with you too as well. And so again, the lawsuit has been dismissed. And shout out to Jay-Z and his lawyer. Now, the lawsuits against Diddy have not been dismissed because he's had a couple of lawsuits again. Now, since the last time that I've talked, because Diddy has had so much stuff go on that it's going to have, I'm going to have to do a complete live or something to go over all the charges since this particular charge. He's had probably at least 4 or 5 charges come behind this. And so right now he's got more charges than he can deal with at this point. So Jay-Z is out of it right now. There are no subsequent charges coming up for Sean Carter. And it's something, both of them are named Sean. But there's no charges coming up for him. So at this point right now, Jay-Z is in the clear. I know that there was a defamation, extortion, civil a lawsuit against Tony Busby because Tony Busby had to get an attorney to represent him as he represented his clients in regards to this. I heard some whisperings that Jay-Z decided to dismiss it, but I'm not. I don't have any paperwork showing me that that's what happened. I'll have to go and look on Pacer to make sure that that is what happened. But I don't see any paperwork talking about that. Jay-Z is dropping that particular lawsuit, and I'm just sorry. I don't think that I would drop that lawsuit either, simply because that's a lot. I mean, you were sitting here not vetting someone. Now, am I saying nothing happened to her? No, I don't know. Nobody's. She knows. But what has been shown is the story and the tale that she told didn't happen between her, Sean Carter, Sean Combs, and this unidentified woman entertainer who was watching. So it has been debunked. What do you all think about this story? Y'all, please put it down in the comments. All right, people. Thank you so much for being great entertainers with me. Y'all, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.